Hey there, YouTube. Today I'm working on a 1996 Sea Ray 175 outboard. So my gas tank started leaking. So after about a half hour out in the water, of course I filled up the tank with gas, 13 or 14 gallons. While out on the water, I stuck my face down on that little breather hole there that vents this cubby area, and it smelled straight like I was sniffing a gas tank. I opened up the storage, the ski storage or whatever, and there wasn't any gas in here, like liquid that I could see, but the smell was just super strong. So I think it was just leaking into the bilge, and then it was just venting up to the highest point, which was that vent. And I'm really lucky that I smelled it and didn't just disregard it, because when I got home I drained the bilge into a bucket and it was about 3 gallons of pure gasoline. This has a plastic tank, and everyone says plastic tanks don't leak. This one does. Before I drained the tank, I actually opened up there's a little storage compartment below the middle seat. It's got 4 screws. And I could see it dripping down the side of it. I also checked the filler hose, the fuel sender, the fuel output line. There's no liquid gas up here, but it's leaking somewhere around the middle, and I need to take the tank out to either fix it or replace it. I was really worried in my initial research because a lot of people had to cut their boat apart to get their tank out, but it looks like this one, the transom, well, it's like a secondary transom with a webbing. The bench screws to it, looks like just normal Phillips screws. There's a little bit of wiring I got to deal with because I have aftermarket sound system, but looks like it's just going to be screws and screws. So I was going to do a time lapse of me taking this apart, but truthfully I'm just going to block the camera the whole time, so I'm not going to do that. So on the starboard side, this plate connected to the bench used tiny little stainless screws, and all 4 screws on the starboard side were the same size and included washers. All of the screws on the front lip were the same size. Removing the screws took, all of 10 minutes, not even. One thing, when you're getting these front screws, be careful with your drill, because I had an extension on here, and when you screw it out, that upward force is going to hit on the bench, and I almost cracked the fiberglass. So, learn from my mistakes. That's why I do these videos. Alrighty, all 19 screws are removed, speakers are unhooked. Gotta find a place to set this phone. I'm definitely free on this side. Yeah, okay, so there should be 21 screws. Try not to damage the padding. Alright. Now I gotta get this off the boat with one person, which I did not think about. Alright, I got it off the boat with minimal scratches to the fiberglass. I recommend getting another person. Where's that hole? I'm gonna guess it's right there. Really don't know how that happened. There's nothing in there rubbing against it. I bet you those are teeth marks. Squirrels. I just realized every single one of these broke. Yeah, Every single one of these clips was already broke from me just hopping in on the seat. Bar holding the tanks in have very tiny screws. And the screws holding the straps down are the medium-sized screws. I really should start marking these because there are a lot of different sizes of screws. And just for my reference, this is how the fuel was wired up. Once again, for my reference, on the fuel sender, it went top nut, lock washer, the actual connector. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put these back just like that so I do not lose these. I suspected the biggest issue I'm having here is getting the old rubber lines off. I really didn't want to replace all the lines, but even after cutting this one, the inside layer is really tight to the barb, so I don't think I can get this off without breaking this fitting. Then on these, for the main fill and the vent, I tried doing it from the top. I tried pulling it from the bottom. I'm pulling with a lot of force, and the main fuel line won't come off the tank. Or I should say the main fill line won't come off the tank or the fill door thing. So be prepared for that. Alrighty, so I had to cut the fuel line, but for this one, use a razor blade on it. Tried very carefully not to score the barbs on this piece. Moment of truth. And the thumbnail. Alright, looks like, for my reference, the two rubber things on the side. It's got these rubber black things. Looks like the plastic side. Maybe this was adhesive that they never took off, but this was towards the tank. Look how easy it is to get to that bilge pump. Uh-oh, I didn't see this warning because it was on the side of the tank you cannot see. Has everyone else been inspecting their fuel tank annually for corrosion? There's your problem right there. Yep, that's definitely the only leak. Alright, looks like it's made out of cross-linked poly, and it's model number 2040, which actually makes a lot of sense because there's a 2040 stamped right here between the fuel sender and the output. So that's clever of them. So I just sanded this down with 80 grit sandpaper. I got my LDPE rods, and I got the cheapest plastic welder on Amazon. Alright, and there's the after. It's actually got some steel in there. Now to pressure test this. The patch is holding, and now the seal went, or it's that screw. Just use a plumbing 30 psi watts gauge, some rubber gloves, some hose clamps to seal it off, close the fuel line, and yeah, definitely gotta do something about that sender gasket. But doesn't look like I have any leaks over here. Okay, it's holding 2 psi and it's blown up like a balloon. So I think that's safe. Looks like it's actually leaking out of the petcock. See the bubbles? I sprayed some in there. Let's blow that all out. This will be fun. I'm gonna put it back in the boat.